welcome to the Free Cheese episode 383. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
Hi.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Let's start the show off with a quick question. What was the last video game song to be stuck in your head?
Fist Bump.
Fist Bump. What is that?
That is by, what's his name? Rob Douglas of Hoobastank. A.K.A. the Sonic Forces theme.
Yes, all right. I've had a lot of those stuck in my head, too, this week. More on that in a little bit. Thank you, Mark. Matt?
I don't know the name of the tune, but the Yakuza battle theme.
Nice.
I just constantly just humming that from time to...
Hear that while you're making coffee?
Yeah.
I woke up the other morning with Battle of the Holy from Castlevania The Adventure stuck in my head. Haven't played that game, haven't thought about that game. I woke up and it just was reverberating, pounding through the skull. And I was very happy about that. We got a show for y'all this week as we kick off 2021. The only way we know how to, by looking forward, after we look backward. So later on, we'll go through our 2020 predictions and see what we got right, what we got wrong, and everything in between. Then we'll make our 2021 predictions. Sorry for the little pause there. I was forgetting what year it was. And then we'll make our 2021 predictions. Lay out exactly what's going to happen in the world of video games for the next 12 months. Before then, we also opened last year, so I had to go back and listen to last year's show and run through everything we did. But we opened last year's prediction show counting down. Matt was counting down the days until Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, came out. So here we are a year later, on the verge of the 30th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. Coincidentally or not, Mark and I are both wearing Sonic the Hedgehog shirts. I think Matt might be too.
No, I'm not.
How did you guys like the Sonic movie?
I haven't watched it yet. Honestly, it's off my radar. I keep forgetting about it. I do want to watch it, just to say I've seen it.
Yeah.
Like, first viewing, I was like, okay. Like, it's not bad. Just had to get used to a couple things. But now I've seen it, like... I haven't seen it all the way through a lot, but I've seen bits and pieces a lot because my friend's daughter loves it. So whenever I'm over there and they're just watching it, they'll just had the movie on repeat or something. But I like it. It's good. It's in a good spot.
Yeah, I'm excited about whatever they do next with that. Do you guys... How do we feel about the Mario movie?
I think he'll be fine. I
think...
He'll stomp on some Goombas. He'll say it's a me, Mario. It's like 3 times. Luigi will come fucking with his dick out, hanging out, and then they'll kill Bowser and move on. Well, maybe not kill, defeat. Sorry, defeat Bowser.
You think they saved Waluigi for the sequel?
Well, no. I think
he's going to be just a poster in the background.
Yeah, I was going to say a trophy. What's it called in Smash?
Assist trophy.
Assist trophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be some tie-in like pop song for the credits and everything. Kind of like, but it's going to be a little more tasteful.
By
like,
Pharrell.
No, like kind of like what they did for the Universal trailer for Super Nintendo Land. They had I forgot her name, but they had like
Hilary Duff.
They had that.
I forget, but like if you look up the
Charlie
song,
XCX.
Yeah, like they'll probably do something like that where like it'll incorporate the theme in some way, but it'll be super poppy and overproduced.
Yeah, like how that Lego movie had that really dumb song.
Oh, Everything Is Awesome.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that one.
Tegan and Sarah.
Yes, see,
featuring Lonely Island.
Really weird. I didn't. All right.
No, was it Andy Samberg? Yeah, he was in the movie, or he's a voice.
I didn't watch. I never saw that one.
If he is in it, I forget what he plays. He's not the main character. Chris Pratt's the main.
I know that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking. There's a lot of people in that movie, or voices in that movie.
Yeah. Yes, there were. Speaking of a lot of people, there are a lot of people in Sonic Forces. By people,
man.
I mean creatures.
Here we go.
So, last week, listeners remember that Matt wrote his first, but not last, Sonic the Hedgehog fan fiction and helped us to permanently cement Mark in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, more so than he may already have been. Immediately following the podcast, immediately when we were done recording, before you even heard the episode, Mark discovered that Sonic Forces not only could you could customize your own avatar, you could also make it look basically like the drawing that adorned our podcast posting last week, and the game was on sale for half off. So because I threatened quoted Titanic and said, "You jump, I jump," when I saw that Mark was playing it on Steam, I pulled the trigger and cashed in some Bing money and got Sonic Forces on Xbox.
Wait, why did you get on Xbox? You already own it on PlayStation.
I don't. I have it on PlayStation Plus, which I don't currently have a subscription for.
Never mind.
Yeah, that was where I had it there. So I bought it with Bing money, that dirty, dirty Bing money. And, Mark, what are 3 good things about Sonic Forces? I want to try to, 2021, more than ever, I think, reflecting last year, one thing I'm happy about that I did last year that I feel good about is I feel like I continued to maintain some sort of positive outlook on anything, on everything.
I think I respect that. I think it's good to have that type of healthy mentality, but
it's
also
look,
keep in mind it is good to be a realist too. So just keep that in mind. That's different from being negative.
Yes, no. Yeah.
But the positive things.
What are 3 good things about Sonic Forces?
Honestly, I like the soundtrack.
God, me too. That's number 1 with a bullet, man.
They went
that soundtrack.
They went in hard with getting different artists and having different lyrical songs that really it's not just Crush 40 whatever as we would hope, but it really, I don't know, it reminded me of what was it, when you do the first stage as your avatar, that song that plays reminds me of the theme song from one of the Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay, so
I was like,
my note that I have written down here is I like the music. It makes me feel like I'm watching Lunchables commercials on Cartoon Network in 2001.
I'm thinking not 92.
That too, but I also feel like there was a period in time where I was older, but also still would go back and watch Cartoon Network, which that hasn't stopped. It's just now I don't have TV to watch it. I just go to the Cartoon Network app, right? But there was a period where going back to it, I felt like an outsider because I didn't really know what was going on, but then they'd occasionally play something I recognized, but there were always Lunchables cartoons. And I felt that same feeling playing Sonic Forces. No, that song, the Standing United song, I don't know what it's called, but the one where you first team up and you do that dual boost together up the ramp.
I believe that is the Fist Bump song.
Okay, then
it's just a different variation of it or something. And I got his name backwards. It's Douglas Robb, not Rob Douglas.
I don't think he minds.
I know. Just wanted to.
I love that the dude from Hoobastank is yeah, what up? I write Sonic the Hedgehog music. That's between that and John Carpenter loving Sonic Unleashed. I think that Sonic's in a good place. You know what I mean?
Sonic 06, that theme song. They have 2 versions. They have the orchestral version, but then they have a rock version that's by Zebrahead.
I love that. I love it.
That's called His World or something. It's actually pretty catchy.
I'll have to go back to that. Okay, why don't we take a pause from good things about the game? Go ahead, Mark.
Whoa.
This is...
What?
This is when it... Go for it. What? Tell me about Sonic Forces.
What, we don't want to do 2 more positive things? We don't...
Let's come back to the positive things.
Oh,
we'll
all right.
make a little positive sandwich.
Oh, man. I haven't felt this much frustration from a Sonic game in quite some time.
I don't know that I ever have, to be honest. Maybe the ending of Sonic Adventure when we were doing that boss fight and get a load of this.
Yeah, some ends of Sonic games had pushed me over a little bit. I think one time I got genuinely frustrated. Adventure 2, there was a boss fight that was like, all right, this is just stupid. I don't know what they were thinking, but but yeah, it's usually in small amounts, right? Like here or there, I just need to step away or whatever. Like, but this made me want to bite my controller. Just made me want to like break my toes and put on Crocs and have my toes stick out of them, just like my Fursona or whatever.
It's one hell of a positive sandwich you're trying to eat there, Mark.
I know, it's, man. I mean, I did get pretty close to making that avatar, by the way. That rooster.
Yeah.
They had Crocs and a hoodie and a beanie, but just not all the exact right colors.
Yeah, surprisingly, like you can do very close to that. Yeah, this.
It's just
I want to go back
soulless.
and actually play Generations. I almost fired it up the other day, but I've been playing. I've had a Sonic the Hedgehog week that I did not anticipate, but I've played a lot of Sonic games. I think because Sonic Forces was not great, it pushed me to go like in every other direction. So I did grab Sonic Adventure 2 because I was on sale for $5, and I've never played that one. We were gonna do that on the Chaos Chronicles, and I didn't want to wait for it anymore, so I grabbed it and I'm playing through that. And it's a different beast, but I can see the improvements over the original Sonic Adventure, and I like what they go for in Sonic Adventure 2. There's a lot of weird stuff that is like so of an era that I don't know, like I dig so much, like the Knuckles stages with rap music, or like not even just like spoken word hip hop stuff over top is really cool.
Yeah, like that's all.
Tails running from the cops.
That's all Knuckles rapping, by the way. Like that's supposed to be him.
Yeah. That's because he can't find the emeralds, but it's okay. But yeah, I do want to go back to Generations because I don't remember Generations feeling that bad, but Forces. I think if there's a setting programmed in there for like percentage of automatic clinging to a stage, right? If there's a slider that dictates that reduces the amount of like player freedom they have over the thing, like where it's more auto runner than not, they put that slider all the way at the bottom here. Like it's as close to the bottom where like the physics are just like you press jump and you're just off the stage. You're gone. Like there's no.
It's very sensitive controls.
Yes. And sensitive controls when the camera angles are moving in a way that like you don't always like you think you're going to make the right call, but then the camera shifts and you just make the total wrong call. It was rough, but here's the weird thing. As rough as it was, I beat it. And
Same.
After I beat it a day later, I went back and played more of it. Like,
no, as soon as I finished everything, just hard delete, uninstall. Bye.
I still have it installed. I don't know why. I don't know that I'll play it. I don't know. Something about it. I really, I'm glad that I got through it eventually. That like, it's been 3 years, but I saw through that game. Maybe that was the final like signal to the universe that I needed, that I think we both needed to put out there so that we can move forward as a Sonic Nation. And to that, give me 2 more good things. They don't have to be as big as the soundtrack. I think is the best part of this game.
The Avatar levels are actually more enjoyable than the others. It's like the game.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the game fails from trying to please every audience at once in this game. And I think that's what it was trying to do with its variety of characters and whatnot. And like Sonic Adventure has a variety of characters too, right? Like that's just kind of like that's kind of become like almost a mainstay with past recent games besides like Lost World and whichever ones no, I guess the ones on we had multiple characters too, I think.
Yeah, all those like Sonic Boom and all those, yeah.
So they try to keep variety as a thing. And it's like, yeah, when it comes to the avatars, they seem like they put more thought into that one just because of, depending on what species you are, you get a bonus little like passive perk. Like if you're a bird, you can double jump. I don't know what exactly the other ones are. Like,
yeah, I can't remember any of them now. I knew at one point vaguely, but
what animal did you?
Wolf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the other ones are, but I know they all have their own like little thing. And then on top of that, you have like your own different like guns to choose from that have different like wisp powers or whatever, and and you can unlock other ones with like different stats and whatnot, and so that can help you get like more points, or if you collect more rings, you can run faster or stuff like that.
That's the part too. Like I feel like that aspect of it, I would want them to explore more. Like, this kind of ties into my other question, which is, what is something that Sonic Adventure 3 could or should pull from this game? And I think the one thing I did like was the different skills that your avatar had. I don't know that they were always realized to their best potential, but I like the idea of, like, in a light way, like Sonic having different gadgets at his disposal, right? Like, a grappling hook. We talked about the grappling hook after you played Crumble and talked about Crumble. And I think, like, that being at play with the avatar, like, I think here, like, it was much more for cinematic purposes, but there were little hot spots you could grapple to and swing. I think that could work really well in a 3D, like, traversal space. I don't know that I want a ton of them, because I feel like the implementation of, like, a lightning gun just whipping around a lightning whip, or like a flamethrower, like, I don't know that I need that in a Sonic game ever again.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, what's one more thing?
One more like positive?
Yes.
It's short.
Yeah.
You can get through it pretty quickly.
Yeah, like 5.5 hours. Something like that.
Yeah. I forget my playtime on it.
You were about 5 hours and something, 5 and change. I only know that because after I was a couple hours in, I didn't want to do it anymore, and I looked at your Steam profile after you said you had beaten it, and I was like, okay, I don't have that much further to go.
Yeah, and that's
okay.
That's including the episode Shadow stuff.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But yeah, that Sonic Forces. That's
I'm gonna have some to contribute to Sonic Adventure 3. I'm gonna bring another game franchise. Why don't they do something like what Crash Bandicoot did this time around, where, like, you know, instead of splitting the gameplay equally among all these different characters, why don't they just pick one track that's 80% of the game and then pepper in the other unique abilities of the other characters for, like, side missions, but they don't outstay their welcome or their mechanic, because there's only maybe 3 or 4 per character. I think that's something that Crash did really well. Crash could be Crash. You introduce these new characters, and they're not. Some of them are different, or totally different from Crash. Some of them aren't. But like their mechanic is different enough for them to warrant a couple levels, but not outstay their welcome to a degree.
Oh man, let me. Sorry, I was saying, let me tell you about a series called Sonic Advance, where there's 3 of them. And they have branching paths, and you can only get some of those paths based on the character you're playing as. And they made it even more unique by having a partner system, I think, by like the 3rd one. So, like, if you're a Sonic and Amy could hit Sonic with a hammer, would launch him, like, super high somewhere. Or if you're Tails, you can carry people, just shit like that. But I would like to see more of that.
No, I think that's a good idea. I think also doing it sparingly, you end up appreciating those characters more than not. Like, in Adventure 2 so far, I'm going into, and even in Forces, there are moments where I'm like, really, right now? Like, honestly, like last night, as much as I like, the Tails levels are like pretty basic with what he does, I enjoyed like running through and just shooting the robots and doing the Tails style of level. That when it was over and it cut to Knuckles, I was like, okay, I guess I'm done for the night. Like, I don't need to play another one right now. Because Knuckles levels are all just like, let's go hunt and peck out these hidden gems. And it's fine, but like, after doing the Pumpkin Hill Zone or whatever, the awesome, rad Halloween one that you've told me about before, but I finally got to experience, like, I don't care about exploring as Knuckles right now. Yeah, not fun. I like the aesthetic of his levels, and I like him, and I like his abilities, but like
Sonic stages is what that's mainly played for.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Sonic Forces in the end, I think is I think it suffers from being a bit too cinematic. I think that like there was a lot of stuff that was done just to look cool, where the game almost plays itself. But then I think it goes so far in playing itself that you rely on that and forget it, and that's where you screw up, or that's where you fail, and I think ultimately where the game fails. But
it feels rushed.
Yeah,
it just very unpolished.
We'll see how Sonic shapes out. I hope this year is going to be great for Sonic. I need a good Sonic.
Get another movie.
Yeah, that'll start soon. We'll see. I have hope. I have hope. And if not, maybe the fans can be the ones to revive Sonic the Hedgehog, kind of like Team Reptile is doing with Jet Set Radio Future, or its predecessor, Lethal League Blaze, which, Mark, you've spent you've played this before. I think you've talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
But Lethal League Blaze back in your hands. What made you jump back into this guy?
I was talking with my friend because I was helping design like a logo for like her Twitch channel or whatever, and that was like Jet Set Radio Future is like one of her favorite games. So we were just talking about that, and then after our conversations and everything, I saw that it was on sale, and I was like, I think she would like this, so I got it for her. I gifted it to her on Steam, and then like I think it was like the next day after that, she texted me. She was like, is my phone bugged? Like, are you listening? Because like she was at work talking to her coworker about Jet Set or something like that, or they talked. That game came up. Lethal League came up. And then she saw that she got it as a gift. So I was like, whenever you want to try it out, you should try the multiplayer, because I've yet to try that with anybody either. And so we were like figuring things out as we were playing and trying different modes and whatnot. And it's a fun time. It still holds up from the last time I played it. I only appreciate it more now.
So as a reminder, is this more of a fighting game or like a sports game? Because from what I remember, it's kind of like a Windjammers style thing.
I would say, I guess it leans more on the fighting side. Kind of, I guess, kind of more like I want to say it's kind of like a Smash Brothers kind of thing. There isn't like percentage exactly, but there are stock, like their lives, and so there isn't really like rounds, it's not like I get a certain amount of, I mean, I guess there is rounds. Every time you come back, I guess it's considered a new round. But yeah, like the only way you can hit each other is with the ball. And depending on where that ball flies around, like if you do consecutive hits back and forth, that ball gets faster and faster and faster, to where it's almost like watching a Dragon Ball Z fight, just watching this ball fly everywhere until someone gets hit with it, and then they're just like, they get knocked off the screen. And you can do up to 4 players, I believe. You can do teams, so 2 versus 2 and all that stuff. The other modes we were trying, one is Volley, which is volleyball basically. And that one is a little tricky because it's not a baseball anymore flying around. It's volleyball and has its own physics, so it's very floaty and it's like more weighted down. So you really have to like really try to hit it on an angle, and you only get so many times you can hit it on your side before getting over the net. Yeah, that one's probably more fun if it was like 4 players, but 2, it's a little slow and a little tough. The other one I think is called like Striker or Strike, something like that, where you have on your side you have just a big like bullseye, and obviously you have to try to hit the ball to hit that. And I think that also has like a volleyball like weight to it in physics, but there's no net, so you don't have to worry about like staying on just your side of the map. You can go everywhere. And that one was pretty cool. But yeah, just the regular mode itself, that's a fun time. The matches are super quick too. Yeah, like if anyone who hasn't seen it, if you're familiar with Jet Set Radio at all, it's cell shaded 3D models, has that cool like urban funky like art style to it, like theme to everything. there is a story mode where you can play as like each character and see like their factions, and all ends with like a final like tournament type thing. But the Lethal League, like it used to be, I don't know how long in their story, like I don't know how long Lethal League was around, but eventually it got banned. So then it became like an underground thing, and so that's how you like go through the ranks and discover everything and why everybody's involved in it the way they are. But yeah, it's just a fun little. I guess I would call it more of a fighting game. It just has a sport theme to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're making basically a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio, also, right?
Yeah, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk.
That sounds right.
Or Bomb Rush. No, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Cyberfunk.
Yeah, Cyberfunk. Because the composer for Jet Set Radio, Hideki Naganuma, I believe.
I can't remember anymore, but yeah.
He provided a track for Lethal League Blades, called "Ain't Nothing Like a Funky Beat" or something like that. And then
there sure ain't.
Yeah, and then like everybody was praising that so much, and then I think that led to Bomb Rush Cyberfunk having him doing the full soundtrack for that game.
Nice.
And it's like, okay, now it's all coming together. Like, say if Sega won't make another Jet Set, then I guess they'll do it.
It's very strange that Sega has like left a good portion of its history just out there. Like,
yeah,
we still see Sonic, we still see Yakuza. There's a handful of other like franchises that bump up. Like, I was surprised that Apple Arcade Choo Choo Rocket showed up, but
Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah, but just certain things, just not. I don't know. All right, last question about Lethal League Blades. If this were turned into a live action movie, who would play Candyman?
Candyman is such a wacky character too. His lore is that like he's in like a psych ward, and I don't know if it's because I know it's kind of like a play on like I can't remember if he was a drug dealer exactly, but I think they were kind of like hinting towards that, and something mutated him, so he has that big yellow like puppet head. Mm-hmm. So it needs something to fit that personality. So I'm gonna say, I don't know if he would do the physical. He probably could, but at least voice acting wise, I think I would say Bill Hader.
I was thinking John Leguizamo, but yeah, I think Bill Hader.
I would say John if this was like 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
He seems to do like more serious stuff now, so I just wasn't sure if.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the Pest era John Leguizamo.
Definitely, like if it was 90s, yeah, definitely him.
Yeah. We're gonna jump to another Sega franchise in a moment, but before that, I have a question for this week. Arc System Works announced another fighting game based on a franchise that is very popular somewhere, but I've never heard of it. So I want to know from you two, which franchise do you want Arc System Works to take on next?
Answers. The correct answer. So I have two answers. Sorry, I forgot to cut the mic.
Yeah.
Two answers. Correct one. Moonwalker 2. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. We can revisit that maybe in a new kind of light. Maybe we take out Michael Jackson's name and we put in a new pop star like Justin Timberlake or someone. But we revisit Moonwalker because that game had potential. The answer I would like to see here. They're looking up their thing. They're very popular in the fighting franchise, Dragon Ball. Them executing that game quite well. What if Square Enix hooked up a deal with them and gave them the Final Fantasy license and said, let's make a fighting game that's not that piece of shit Dissidia game?
I'm on board.
Final Fantasy was my video game franchise answer, was Final Fantasy. I was also thinking King of the Hill, but Final Fantasy was exactly where I was at. Like, that would be such a rad. I think their art style would lend itself well to those characters. I'd like to see them all adapted there, and I think they could work really well in a 2D fighter. That's super good.
I was gonna say it would be interesting to see the Mario franchise, but it's like you might as well just do Smash Brothers at that point, just the Arc Systems version, just more traditional fighting game, just with everyone looking anime. But I don't know. I think they should do a sequel to Sonic the Fighters. We're just gonna stay on the Sonic train this episode.
Dude, I'm okay with the Sonic train. All aboard.
So many characters to choose from with that.
Yeah. No, the other one I thought of was Adventure Time.
Okay.
Because Adventure Time is like such a... there's so many different characters and whatever, but also I feel like adapting them into an Arc System Works style art style would be really weird.
I'm an idiot. Bring back Tournament Fighters. Ninja Turtles.
There it is.
Mm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we have plenty here. Like, I'm all for the dual fight and Grand Blue Fantasy fighting games and the Persona 4 arena. Yes, yes, yes. All aboard. But let's get some Final Fantasy. Let's get some Turtles. Let's get some Adventure Time up in that Arc System Works. Also, speaking of Turtles, Arc System Works, maybe not developing, but they are the publishers on a lot of beat-em-ups. Like I believe they are currently the owner of the River City Ransom franchise. So maybe tap into that, pull back some of that classic Turtles arcade action.
Come on, Nickelodeon. Do the right thing.
Yeah. Speaking of side-scroller beat-em-ups, Matt, Yakuza Like a Dragon has been on your now playing list for a little while.
Yeah, I can finally say I wrapped it up, too. I think I wrapped it up middle of the week.
How many hours was that for you?
53. I remember to look it up before recording. 53.
Because I had heard that it was over 100, and I didn't want to tell you that when you were at, like, hour 30 and wondering when it would be over.
When you go back through, because they just question mark all the side quests you haven't gone yet. Like, I missed a third of them. I don't know how. I felt like I was back and forth in that city. Evidently, you can go through all the jobs. I missed something with Ichi, where, like, the underground sewers, which are, like, the dungeon, like where you get rare materials and you can level up your characters the easiest. Like, there's a job that Ichi should have that helps break apart walls so you can explore that dungeon further that I completely missed that I looked up after the fact. I mean, there's a lot of meat and potatoes to this game. I think I kind of got a third of it, really. Just kind of playing it as I saw fit. But yeah, no, it wrapped up. There's one weird character thread that I find a little unresolved to my tasting, but I thought it was kind of suiting in a way without giving away too many spoilers. But yeah, no, this game from start to finish, one of my favorite experiences of 2020.
Do you have a favorite side mission?
So, I've talked about a lot of highlights of the side mission. One that I saw towards the end of the game, so dumb. There's a man who is aching on the street. His hand hurts so much. Turns out he is someone that works for the government that counts pedestrian traffic. So he has like a clicker that he has to hit the number on to see how many of a certain pedestrian walk by. You are then tasked to do this job for him, and it's literally just first-person view, and you have to count in your head how many people walk by or how many women walk by, and that's it. Like, it doesn't lead to a battle, doesn't do anything. It's just that, and then he pays you at the end. He's like, "Oh man, you're going to be the next best." I forgot what they called the job, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want this, but thanks." And yeah, ends up the guy had to retire because he was getting like carpal tunnel in his hand or something. Yeah, it was another bizarre, just weird thing in this game. No, you have to do it in your head.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, then I guess. Go ahead.
No, do you think that you would have liked the story more if it were not like an RPG, or did that lend itself to?
I think the fact that it was an RPG let me forgive the amount of cutscenes and sometimes how long they were, and especially that beginning. I can't say enough like how off-putting that first 2.5 hours were of just watching cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, and maybe for 5 minutes walk up a street to then lead to the next cutscene again. But knowing full well it's JRPG and how RPGs usually have to get story heavy before they start throwing kind of gameplay at you in most cases, I was able to forgive it a little bit more. I feel like if this was a regular Yakuza game, I don't know, like the regular fighting I don't know how long I would have stayed in it, because Kiwami didn't take that long for you to start being thrown into fights at least. With this, your mechanics are so... You don't have many mechanics besides just a regular attack and maybe one skill that you don't need to use. So like even when you did get into battle, there wasn't much you could do.
Do you think that this stepping into an RPG, do you think there's another genre that Yakuza could move to that would still work?
I think it moves away from the Yakuza games because I think they purposely don't use guns, but thinking like, they could always do the cover-based... over the shoulder, shoot 'em up kind of style. The other thing that I would love for them to do if they kept with this path, I think this game would serve very well on a grid. I like the turn-based, just regular attacks and skills and magic, much like Final Fantasy X, but there are elements at times where, like, if you... Like, your characters are walking around kind of freely. You don't really control anything. But if, like, you attack an enemy... and there's another enemy in the way, they will block you from that attack. And sometimes they run a weird route and end up running into an enemy that you didn't think was possible. And then you get blocked, and it kind of feels kind of like, I don't know about that. And then also, like, the environment. Sometimes, like, there's a bicycle right next to Ichi, and he will pick up the bicycle if you do a normal attack instead of using his regular weapon. That seemed pretty random at times, and I didn't have much control over that. So I think, if you position yourself on a grid next to that bike and got extra damage, I really think
you get to kind of set yourself up for it.
I think there was some really unique things, especially like AoE attacks, because you end up getting those, but just with the enemies walking around freely, it gets a little weird sometimes figuring out if the AoE attack's going to hit everyone or not hit anyone, or like what section. So I think a lot of the stuff that they have in place would benefit well if it's just on a grid.
What's next for you and Yakuza?
I don't know. I kind of want to go back to Kiwami. There's other stuff I want to play before I go down that path, but like, yeah, I kind of am itching to see more of this franchise because it's not necessarily the gameplay. I mean, I like the gameplay. I like the turn-based stuff. That's how I like my my RPGs. But like, I like the weirdness and the story of this game, and also how like it just flipped the switch from being completely goofy to being real in a matter of 2 cutscenes. So like, I want to see what that is. I like that I jumped in with a fresh character with Ichi, but yeah, I kind of want to see the path of Kiryu.
Yeah. Mark, any interest in Yakuza Like a Dragon?
Oh yeah. Definitely. I have a big interest in this series. I'm just taking my time, dipping my toes into it. Like I started 0, like way back, and then I stopped when you switch characters because I kind of just felt like I was starting over again. I was like, I was just getting into Kiryu, like learning about him and everything, and then it just like, nah. And it's like it's still cool what they're doing. At that point, I was just like, I have other things going on, so I'll come back. I'll put a pin in it. But yeah, I want to see that series all the way through.
Yeah, I think 0 might be where, because I am like super close to finishing Kiwami, but I feel like it's been a year since I've touched it, so I don't know if I want to do that or just jump into 0. And then, I don't know. But yeah, I almost started that last night, just thinking about it all. And, I think I need to finish Persona 5 first, which I've been like ticking away at still, just little by little. Not even little by little. I've been spending time with Persona 5 in like I like every day I kind of check in with it and like live a few days out in the protagonist's life. You know what I mean? See a little bit more of that story. And I'm finally to the point in Persona 5 where like I've met a good number of people. The story is like really unfolding, and like I fully kind of get what the game is now, and now it's just about moving forward. I'm really, really digging that game a lot. I can't recommend that one enough. if you want, I mean, it's long. Like, I'm 30 hours in, and I don't think I'm anywhere close to being done. Like,
That's another one I still need to jump into.
It's really cool. But even cooler, maybe, is something I did not expect to be talking about, mostly because it didn't come out in America. But I bought the Aleste collection from M2. So this was announced a little while ago that so Aleste is a series. I think here we got them as Power Strike was the name of the games here. There was Power Strike on Master System. You had another one on Genesis called Musha. Like, it's been kind of like spotty with like the naming conventions of this series and all that, but they're top-down shoot 'em ups. Just think like gosh, now I can't think of what is the classic top-down shoot 'em up? Centipede?
I was gonna say Galaga.
Ikaruga.
Yeah. Like all right, like like that. But so they're that style. I'd never heard of them before this year. So with that Analog Pocket being announced and that you could play Game Gear games, I found a thread about recommended Game Gear games, and somebody recommended GG Aleste. And I was like, all right, what is this? And I looked it up, and it was like, oh, it's a top-down, shooting game. But I kind of got into it a little bit, and it was neat, but didn't, like, very surface level. Then, like, right around the same time, M2, the wizards behind everything great in terms of emulation and preservation, announced the Aleste Collection, which was not only 4 of the main games in the series, but also a brand new Game Gear game, GG Aleste 3, that they made this year in 2020.
Whoa.
So they announced it and then announced that it was coming out on Christmas Eve. So I had the money set aside. I had a calendar event reminding myself to pick up the game, and then on Christmas Eve morning, no foolies here, woke up, fired up the eShop, nowhere to be found. I'm like, what? Only released in Japan with no confirmed Western release. And I was like, all right. Well, I've had that Japanese Switch account forever that I just use to download the Switch Online stuff, the Famicom and Super Famicom, and then I'll grab like the occasional demo through that. But I actually went through the process of grabbing a Japanese eShop card and buying this, and I've spent most of my week with GG Aleste 3, and that is such a fun top-down shooting game. And what M2's done with, I think the whole collection is really stellar, but also like with bringing a new game to light in like the Game Gear, like it's super rad. I think it's still like, it feels like something designed for the Game Gear, but it just pushes it a little bit further because they're using their own like built-in emulator. They even made a physical cart version of this that will work in a Game Gear, but they're not selling it. They just made like a prototype version. The way they do this though, it's really smart. So as you know, old video games took place on the center box in the screen, and you have all that negative space on both sides. So M2 for this collection said, what if we filled up that negative space? Not with a fake arcade border, not with some art, not with whatever, but with actual, like, information that you would have if you were a pilot. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you have each game has a different pilot you're playing as. So there's a pilot portrait that kind of like blinks and reacts and does stuff like a headshot. Like, think like the Star Fox, right? Like that kind of style. But down at the bottom, they have a little tracker that shows you like achievements that you've done in each level. So like if you've killed a certain number of enemies, like you'll get a little like badge that shows up down there, and like it's like a little marker to show your progress. On the right-hand side, you can track which weapon you currently have, because the Aleste series, as you're flying through and getting power-ups, you have a couple different shot types. I think it's A, C, F, R, T. I think there's 6. I forget how many. But either way, you have 6 different shot types, and then you're powering them up as you work your way through the levels. And they track which one you currently have and what that level or what that tier's shot type is doing, and as you level it up, it shows you like what changes as you level it up. So you have all that stuff you can track on the sides. It makes it seem like an in-dash not dash, but like the pilot controls all up on the screen. It's really nifty, and
I like that.
I think it's a good use of that negative space that they could have just left black, and you can change it to make it just black if you want to. But I think it's a neat design thing. And this is all leading to they're making a brand new Aleste game, like from scratch, like modern sensibilities and all of that stuff. They've been doing this thing called Shot Triggers. It's like their sub brand in M2 where they're just making top-down shooters, or like they're bringing back the idea of the top-down shooter. And they own the rights to the Aleste series now. It used to be developed by a company called Compile. Now M2 owns all that stuff, so that's why they put out this collection. They're making that new game, and I think it's worth if you already have a Japanese account set up on your Switch or PS4, because it's there too. If not, it's not super difficult to set those things up and get them added in to your Switch or PS4, and then you could grab this. And it's super fun, man. I think it works well on a TV, works well in handheld mode. I've been trying it with different controllers. One other neat little touch, like my favorite touch, is such a tiny little attention to detail, but depending on the game that you're playing, because some of these are for Master System, some of them are for Game Gear. On the left-hand side, there's an on-screen like controller. So if you're playing the Master System game, you'll see a Master System controller on the screen, and as you press the buttons, it shows you which buttons are being like pressed on the screen. So like if you rotate the D-pad, you'll see like a little yellow marker on which direction you're pushing. It's a tiny little, like, who needs that at all? But I just think it's so cool that it's there. You can fully remap the buttons to be whatever you want. You can turn on quality of life things. So the Game Gear game, all the games have noticeable slowdown just because of, they're exceeding the memory limits of the game. You can turn all that stuff off so it runs super fast if you want to, kind of how like the Gradius 3 stuff works if you play that in emulation. I haven't tried turning it off because I feel like sometimes the slowdown really helps you to circumvent some of the weird things in a game, or the like overwhelming sections. But yeah, I am fully into this. Like to the point where I almost spent a chunk of change to import the all white Game Gear Micro that they made that goes along with this.
With the green buttons on it. Yeah, like I kept seeing that image pop up with like a screen in front of it that was like magnifying it, I think, or something. It looks.
So if you recall, Sega, as part of the 60th anniversary, announced those Game Gear Micros last year. In Japan only, they were $50 a piece or so. And it was 4 different ones. Each of them had 4 games on them. If you bought all 4 of them in a specific set pre-ordered from someplace, they'd also throw in the magnifier so that you could actually see the tiny screen.
That's ridiculous.
I know. And then a couple months after that is when M2 announced this Aleste collection and announced they were doing a 5th Game Gear Micro that was white. It would come with, you'd choose your version, Switch or PS4, so you'd get an actual version of the game you could play on a modern console. And you'd get the actual Game Gear Micro with that game, and I think the other Game Gear games all on there as well. And I've been like, should I buy it? Should I order that thing from Japan? But I don't think I'm going to do it. But I kind of want to. But I probably won't. But I still might. Anyway, I did not think that I would close out 2020 with a brand new Game Gear game. But man, I will buy anything that M2 puts out, basically. So the fact that this is another thing for the M2 list of greatness, I'm happy.
Yeah, like it sounds really cool. I mean, just the attention to detail alone, I think, is it's more than enough for me.
I saw that the PS4 version, the trophies for that popped up on North American servers, so there's a shot that it might come here. No guarantee, but I don't know why it wouldn't. I think there are other stuff in the M2 Shot Triggers series have all come over here so far. I might, maybe not. Maybe there's only some stuff in Japan. I don't know. But
Wouldn't be surprised if it did happen.
Yeah. Speaking of surprises, Mark, you've been exploring Deep Rock Galactic. Are you finding anything beneath the surface?
Just more spiders. So my other friend Joe, we decided to boot that up again and go diving. And I think as we're going, I don't know if these are all like tutorial-esque missions or not, because everything that we've been doing has been each mission has been kind of different from the other. And it's not, I mean, yeah, you go down harvest stuff, right? Like you go down harvest gems or whatever and get a certain amount of whatever optional item, and then you leave. But they change that up on how you do that from time to time, and I didn't realize that there are other biomes with all this. Like, no matter what, you're in caves because you're inside of an asteroid or meteor or something. But I think we started with like the salt mines. I forget what the other one is, but it's just like your typical what you expect a cave to look like. And then we went to this ice one, and everything you don't like about ice levels in video games, it's here. You have these now, like, so there's all variations of these space spiders, right? And for the longest time, a lot of them didn't really have like range attacks. Like they would just come at you, and like they might spit some acid or something, but it was like minor and not their main thing. Now we have these giant spiders that are all like armored in the front, and they have like just a glowy butt, and obviously that's the weak spot. And trying to get to it, it's like somebody has to draw aggro so you can get around and hit that. And thankfully, the way Joe and I's characters complement each other, because he's all like the techie guy with like a hologram and sentry turrets and whatnot. So the hologram can take a lot of aggro and distract enemies. And then I have the chain gun and a revolver, so I can just light everything up when I can. But then like he has a platform gun, like I said before, that helps you climb up things. And then I have a zip line, so we can get across things a little more smoothly. So sometimes, like, if there's a vein of gems that are too high up, I'll zip line up, and I'll mine while I'm hanging from the zip line. But then, like, he'll shoot a platform underneath of me, so I can actually like drop off and get the rest of it at the bottom or something, and then whatever. But there was this one mission that was such bullshit. This is where the RNG wasn't in our favor again. It was on that ice rock or whatever. And sometimes throughout the cave, there's a floor completely made of slippery ice. You have no traction. You just slide along the whole damn way, and it's not fun. But usually we have this little mule. It's just a mechanical, like little like. It has like spider legs, but it's not a spider. Obviously, it's just this giant metal tank that just crawls around. It can crawl on walls and everything. Usually we dump all of our minerals and whatever we find into that. This time, got off the ship, and then we had to find like this giant like station that had its own turrets on it, and you dump everything into that. So you don't have a mule following you anymore. You now have to grab stuff and run to this thing and dump everything into that. And like as soon as we landed, everything started coming at us. We had no time to breathe or to prepare anything. Just all like, so yeah, there was your occasional spiders. Now there's more flying bugs, and some of them can pick you up and take you away. If your friend doesn't shoot it down, it'll just eventually just drop you, and that might incap you or not. And so like that's hectic. So I got carried away. All these spiders are coming. We're shooting everything off. We're running out of ammo. The only way to get more ammo is to mine for nitro, which is a red gem, and you need 80 nitro to call down a pod to get more ammunition and restocks your health and everything. So we're doing what we can. We're shooting everything off. It does kind of calm down, but then all of a sudden we get a message from our station saying that there's a swarm coming. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? We just dealt with a swarm. What are you talking about? It's just nonstop. This swarm never really calmed down. And so the fact that this guy calling in a swarm happening, it's like, dude, I don't know what you're saying. Like, I don't even know why you keep telling me a swarm is coming when it never stopped to begin with. And he's like, oh, you're dwindling down. Like, he'll let you know when it's like starting to calm down. And it's like, bullshit,
like it's
dude.
pouring down rain and you're telling me that the rain's coming.
Like, yeah, like I was down. I was waiting for Joe to revive me, but I was just like, it's kind of like Left 4 Dead, where like if you're down, all the enemies will still come to you and just beat the shit out of you while you're down. You won't die. That's a little different from Left 4 Dead. Like once you're down, there's no like, oh, you have another health bar and your time to pick me up. No, I'm just down until you can pick me up. But just watching him from my screen, just him jumping around, seeing a whole crowd just chasing him, having no ammo or anything, like it was just awful. It was just a bad start, and I was like, we just got to call it quits with this one. That one just was not in our favor.
So do you bail the mission? You could just fly to a different place, or
so he ended up dying, but like all he had left was ammunition for his platform gun, and that doesn't really do any damage. But like every time he kept trying to come by to pick me up, the ice slid him past me, so he couldn't stop. So every time he would like loop around, he would be like Tokyo drifting. He would have to put down a platform on the floor to help stop himself. Yeah. And then like he would get like maybe a couple seconds to try to pick me up to watch that bar fill up, but then he had to run again. I was like, man, it was just tough.
So is that a typical session now? Like you kind of have learned a little, like you said, like you're not sure if it's tutorial or not at this point, but like, is it just kind of like, let's hop in and see what this world gives us? Or are you guys, is there a goal in mind? Like, I don't know why I keep equating this to Minecraft, but I do.
There's mining. There's no crafting really whatsoever.
Okay. I keep thinking that you're finding these resources so that you can go make the ship cooler.
You're making yourself cooler. Okay. Like all your weapons have different abilities that you can attach to once you unlock their different tiers of what you can do with them or whatever. So like mining for different things helps upgrade your loadout for your class. And I'm not sure what else we can do aside from that. Maybe there is stuff we can do later that is not about our character. But for the most part, it is just making yourself better so you can go through these missions a little more smoothly. So like that was the one fail, which wasn't really too bad, I think. We did that mission twice, and both times we just couldn't get it. But there was a different biome that we were allowed to do, because I think these are still on timers, which of like what areas you can go to, and I think as we unlock more mission types, we are allowed to do these mission types in these other areas, because some areas only have specific mission types that you can do, like whether it's you're harvesting a certain type of egg or a nut. Different gems, they're only on specific biomes or whatever. One that was really cool was that we had to find this fuel tank, and we had to get the main fuel tank. We had to connect pipes to these 3 little stations that we usually mine this gem called Morkite, but this was like a liquid version. So the only way to do it was to hook up these pipes to suck up all the liquid Morkite into the big fuel station thing. So you actually have to, from the main fuel station, you actually get to build the pipe. Like there's no resources cost for doing this. It's just hit the interact button and you'll see like it's a very flexible tube, and it's usually like a red hologram until it's blue, and when it's blue it's when you can lay it down. And then it will lay down like the framing of the pipe, not the full pipe itself. And you can just keep connecting that and extend it as you go. And so we had to do this 3 times. So thankfully, two of the spots that were liquid Morkite were by us, but then there was a third one that was like a couple stories up. So trying to get that pipe vertically was a challenge, and thankfully, Joe's platform gun came in handy. So you build platforms, put the pipe on top of that, to ride it up there. So we have one person setting up the frame of the pipe. The other person has to go to each section of the pipe that you lay down, and you have to actually make the pipe. So it's just holding in the button and watch the bar fill up. Boom, done. So one person's setting up the frame, the other person is actually making the pipe. So we have that going on. And the cool thing about these pipes is that they have rails on them. And since you played Sonic Adventure 2, you can now get this. You can grind on the rails back and forth from the Liquid Morkite to the fuel station.
That's cool.
And depending on the physics and the incline and everything, you can go faster or slower or whatever. And that helped a lot because, Horde is going to come, or Swarm, whatever, and you have to fight that off. There'll be leaks in the pipes, so you have to patch the pipes up while you're fighting everything off, making sure everything is getting siphoned properly, and then you leave. And we did that successfully. That was cool. I did enjoy that one. I started...
Payday mission.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I think we made that comparison last time, right? We were... how the way some of this was dished out, the way you do mission stuff is kind of the contracts and Payday with their own timers and whatnot. But these are not as many on the map and much longer timers. But yeah, I mean this game is still getting updated. I just saw their Twitter recently. They were teasing another biome. I was like, okay, I'm still liking this as it goes. I'm still loving the detail to your character on how you can save different loadouts. So you can have up to 3 or 4 loadouts, and depending on that, you might have different stats equipped or different perks equipped to your weapons to make you play differently. And we just learned that there are milestones. You can claim these milestones that you've done in the game, and it gives you these perk points. And you can put these perk points towards it's not really a tree, but they're tiers of different active and passive abilities that your character can have. And I think that part is all shared. It doesn't matter what class you are. But you can pick what you want to put these points in. So you might have a passive where you can revive a friend instantly one time, but every other time after that, you do it 15% or 20% faster. And you can upgrade that to be more, a higher percentage as you put more points into it. Or you can have hover boots, so you don't have to worry about fall damage. If you're falling, maybe you can hover last second for 5 seconds or something like that, or get across a ditch real quickly. I just got a perk where I attached the ability to where if I'm down, I can set off this big grenade explosion, and I don't know if that helps me get a boost back up. I think it does, where it gives me a couple seconds where I'm overpowered and I can kind of make an escape, and I'm stronger for 5 seconds or something like that. Can't wait to try it out, but I wish I'd known about that stuff a little sooner. So still learning stuff, still figuring out, still enjoying it, still recommend it.
Yeah, that seems like that kind of game though, where you just time is gonna until you're faced with a situation and you're forced to figure out how to overcome it, you won't.
Yeah,
it's one of those
but
it's one of those ones where I'm sure if you go to the subreddit, there's an FAQ, and it's new player, read this. Here's the top 10 things I wish I knew when I start, all that crap.
Yeah, but even though it goes that deep, it's still not that complex, and I like that. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not overwhelming in any way.
Yeah, unless
you have bad RNG and you're constantly getting swarmed, and that's not fun. But no, I love that. The maps are always random, so it's never stale with that. And trying to use your radar to find what you need to look for, and trying to find your own way of getting to it is really cool too. So good stuff.
Matt, how are the maps in Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Very snowy and mountainy.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, so 2 months of me saying I'm going to play this every week, I finally got around to it. Is that
threatening for a
happened?
while.
Yeah. Yeah, so I started this. These are going to be early first impressions. I only played it for 2.5 hours, but I don't think I've seen what this game has to reveal to me yet. Not even like the story. I feel like there's something that's going to happen, like a betrayal or something that I'm yet to see. It feels that way anyway. But my first impressions, it feels like a clunky God of War meets Destiny. It's third person. It's kind of based in Norse mythology, so the knowledge that I gained from God of War is kind of coming in handy here because I've already heard them say the words Freya and Odin and Helheim. I'm like, I know all those things, thank God. But like, I don't know, you're swinging around an axe.
God of War.
Yeah. You are swinging around an axe. There is a heavy and a light attack. There is, you can shield yourself. And, of course, there's a posture meter now because all these games have posture meters. It's not revolutionary anymore. I think I haven't experienced it yet, but, like, the shield, like, the posture break, like, the counter, like, you can two-hand weapons in this game, and they map that second hand just to LB or L1. So I think once you start dual-wielding weapons, you can do a little bit more variety in the combat than what you're doing. But, yeah, I don't know. The combat doesn't feel as smooth as it did in something like God of War or in like Sekiro or any of those types of things. Or like Star Wars is probably a better example because of the heavy and light attacks. But like, I don't know. It's fine. Game sets up. You play as Eivor, Eivor. Play as him as a kid. His parents were killed in a village raid. Pick up, like, they say 17 winters later, and he's trying to kill the dude, but he gets caught, and then you break out and save your crew, and it's about trying to get revenge on this guy. But I think there's going to be another twist or turn before the game really sets moving forward, because the king's son came back, but he's back with two very assassins-looking dudes that look like Ezio and, Altair and all that. So, like, the Assassin's Guild is probably going to come into this a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, just something about the combat doesn't feel right, and I just don't know if I'm like using the weapon set from God of War because it feels familiar, or if I should mix it up, and maybe that's what's going to make it feel better. But you have like bow and arrows that you're at your disposal at any time. I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it is that it's making it not feel like a polished fighting system. It feels almost like Horizon. Remember, so taking down the monsters with the bows and stuff was good, but when you actually start swinging around like your weapon, that did not feel that great. That's kind of what this whole combat system feels like right now. It is not doing it for me.
How does this feel compared to other Assassin's Creed games that you've played?
So this is the thing. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed probably since Assassin's Creed Revelations, and I didn't even play that new. I played that, I think, after 3 came out. So I've missed all the junk of Unity, Syndicate, Black Flag. And then even like the fresh reboots of Origin and
Odyssey.
Yeah, Odyssey. So like this is my first Assassin's Creed since even that. And man, let me tell you what, I don't know if it's new in this or if it's been new since Origins, because I know there's an equipment upgrade system, but man, that menu where you equipped your items is ripped straight out of Destiny. That whole main menu, or like pause menu and map, feels like it's ripped straight out of Destiny. I
remember Mark sharing a screenshot of that after that like Ubisoft July event or whatever, and being like, "Hey, this looks like crap."
I think it was like that in Avengers.
Yeah,
this is just a thing now.
Yeah,
so
it's a thing that makes me not want to play your games.
Yeah, and then it's once again we say an Ubisoft checklist. I don't know if it's per se a checklist, but you have all the icons. You have your compass that is along the top, and it has the points of interest. Yellow's for some kind of wealth or treasure. Blue is some kind of like side quest or mini game that I've experienced so far. So like, it's Assassin's Creed, Vikings.
But I think for not having played one of those in a long time, and probably even something close to it, because you probably haven't played something even similar in that. I'm trying to think of like what you've been playing, and like what was the last open world style thing that you played? Was it Horizon, or you had like Mafia?
I mean,
and things,
Yakuza is kind of laid out. I mean, I'm thinking like Yakuza, right? Like that's kind of has the same kind of points of interest and stuff. But at least like when I got to the point of interest, I didn't know what to expect. Some of them requires me beating up REM ghosts to prevent me from falling asleep in a movie theater, or counting pedestrians going across. Like I didn't know what to expect. At least with this, it's probably just more combat. Which when the combat isn't my favorite thing, it's tough to keep asking that of me.
Yeah. Do you think that playing this after Yakuza is going to do it a lot of harm?
Maybe, but I know. I think no matter what order I played these games in, Yakuza would have been the best of the three that I bought with that two. Back a couple months ago when the consoles first released, I think Yakuza always would have been the shining star, and I would have dropped Watch Dogs early, and I would have. I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to keep going with it because the story's setting up so far in an interesting way, and maybe if I mix up the combat a little bit, I don't know. I just got to see what that game lets me do. I will say there's two cool things I think they do. The skill points is not just like a standard tree, but it really looks like a sphere grid. And it splinters out right away into what looks to be like assassins, like assassin quite traits, warrior type traits, and then range type traits with your bow and arrow. And then as you progress those along, the sphere, like the little like section of the sphere you're going through, at some point it will splinter out, and it almost creates like a new nucleus of sphere points and for you to put your skill points into. So I think the leveling is going to be kind of unique, and you can almost kind of make the assassin or the Ivor that you want to make right away, or you can mold them into what you want to play as, which I think has some potential there. I've been staying away from the range stuff because I just want to get in there with my axe and just beat on some people, and then use and maybe sneak around from time to time and use my assassin's blade. So I think there's some potential with how you can build a character with that leveling system. And then two, the climbing. This is Breath of the Wild. Like, you can climb almost anything. And it's impressive. And there's no, like, grip meter, none of that. The only thing I haven't really been able to climb are the poles, like, those wooden fences that have, like, it looks like tree trunks, but they're binded together and they have the spike at the top. Like, a wall like that is the only one they have not let me climb, which makes sense because it's spiky at the top and you might hurt yourself. But, like, any rock, mountain, I've even, like, once I started to realize that there was no, like, yellow spots or obviously white spots. They are there. I think they, will let you go up easier, but I have found that most things I'm trying to climb, it will let me do it wherever, which I was impressed by.
Has there been rain while climbing?
No, but everything's snowy and there's no grip meter, so I don't see me falling.
Fair enough.
It's a plus.
Yeah, I mean, there is a stamina meter because of the whole posture thing, because you have to watch your posture as well, but I didn't notice my stamina meter being depleted while climbing or anything either. So that was fun to see.
Also fun to see was the end of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Huh?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, the way you just said
that? No. I'm happy that I saw through it. We started our predictions episode last year with me having just jumped in for my annual Metroid Prime adventures, and I fell off Metroid Prime 3 last year at some point, but I did finish it this week, and I didn't realize last week how close I was to the end, but I was super close. So I went through. This game did a lot of really, really cool things for the Metroid Prime series, especially after having played both of them now on Wii. I think this one fully realized those motion controls in a way that I think wholly complement the gameplay, and I want Metroid Prime 4 to also have the option for motion. I still, I'd like the idea of playing with a controller, but something about just holding both the Wii Remote and Nunchuck just feel right as Samus. I think also establishing Dark Samus as a recurring character rather than just like, there's Ridley again, there's the space pirates, like that ambiguity of the space pirates. I think having Dark Samus as like a threat that shows up again was it helped to build a bigger world of the Metroid Prime series, right? Where like 1 feels so far away from me, but like 2 still feels close, not only because I've played it more recently, but because of Dark Samus's, appearance in both. I think this one, the way that Dark Samus was like kind of in the lore, like as you're finding lore pieces, you're scanning the world, like you're hearing all of these different planets where Dark Samus has shown up to try and like take over or become the queen or something like that, where she's like influenced these people to follow her and follow the Phazon and corrupt the, like that is a really neat element, I think, story-wise, that had some interesting like ramifications for what these like great ancient civilizations would become. And then you as Samus needing to take them down little by little. And I think as Samus, her transformation in this one, physically, like the corruption of her, changing the way her suit would appear and also function throughout the game. The fact that now, like, you weren't switching between beam weapons, you just upgraded your beam because Samus was inherently changing and things like that. Like, it was a little closer to fusion than it was anything else. And I've always liked that idea of how they could move Metroid forward, is actually change Samus, right? Like, if I really hope that this year we'll look back at what I said for 2020, but I think my one Metroid thing for 2020 is probably more likely for this year, with the 35th anniversary. But I think that with Metroid, a game that could follow Fusion or Metroid Prime 3, like another one of those where like you show Samus as a wholly changed person, organically, I think could be an interesting gameplay. It could influence interesting gameplay is what I should say. And this one too, what I really liked is that the end game, so Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2 both had these things at the very end. You've explored the world, you've done everything, and now, do you have the 12 keys? Oh, you gotta go back through and get all the 12 keys. Did you not get them along the, you couldn't get them along the whole, no, not at all, so you just need to go back through. This one, as you're playing through, you could actually collect the keys as you went through. So I got to the end of it and already had a good number of them. There were a few I had to like skip back to other areas that I couldn't explore because I didn't have the right color beam or the whatever. But like the first 2 games, there's no way to collect those things throughout. You need to get to the end, have them say, "Oh, you got to go all the way back through everything again." Then you go back through everything again and find all the keys. This one, you're collecting them as you go. I thought the final boss fight was fun. It did a good job at like pulling together. I think that's something too, where like sometimes these boss fights, they rely on 1 or 2 things, where this I felt like was a great balance of all of the things you learn throughout the game. Like it was the final test, so to speak, instead of it just being like, there's a big scary thing. You know what I mean? It was, I think, really well done. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, like, it was easier than the other ones for sure. But I appreciated that because I didn't want something super tough after Metroid Prime 2 was a little tough. And I'm like primed and ready for, no pun intended, for whatever's next with Metroid, just at all. That said, I think I hear my phone ringing. Yeah, yes. Oh, it's Doug Bowser, you guys. Doug Bowser on the line. Yeah. Okay, I'll hold on. So with Metroid Prime, or Metroid's 35th anniversary this year, Doug's on the phone. He was the 3-way call with Mountain Dew. Doug's trying to set up a deal with Mountain Dew to get Game Fuel tie-in for Metroid. He needs to know what flavor is the Metroid Game Fuel and what is the name of the flavor meant to be.
Chozo Cherry.
We got Chozo Cherry, in case you didn't pick that one up, Mr. Bowser. He likes that. He's very happy.
I don't think you can top that.
There's Ridley Raspberry if you want.
Oh my god.
What's the name of her suit? Well, like her main suit?
The Varia suit?
Varia. Can't really do alliteration with that one.
It's called Baria in Japanese, if that helps. Baria.
Barian suit. Ew, no one wants to drink a suit. Ew. You know what? Samus Sweat. There you go.
Samus what?
Samus Sweat.
All right. There it is. That's
You can sell gamer bathwater. You can sell Samus Sweat. You know.
Yeah, they've got that Pocari Sweat, so I think that kind of like, you know, you can.
No, you're missing a golden opportunity here. I like all the names, but dude, fusion, fuse two flavors together.
Go on.
I don't know what two flavors, but two of those names, just fuse them together. Game Fuel Fusion, and then there could be like maybe two different types for the release, and then you can go off the suit colors, like a blueberry and something else.
Blueberry lemonade,
maybe, and then do like an orange and red of some kind, like a orange cherry,
blood orange, cherry.
Yeah, we can do that. Orange? Yeah, there you go.
But there's only one bottle. They only made one. It's a collector's item, and it's a little darker than your standard Mountain Dew color. So it's a darker green, and there's like a little hint. It might have a red cap, and maybe some. I don't know if you can mix green and red a little too. I don't know if you can do that well with soda, but it's basically the last. Okay, it's the last Metroid.
In captivity, yeah.
Liquefied. The last.
Oh,
mountain.
You could even do like a purple. Like, pretty much like Mountain Dew Black, but make it Dark Samus inspired.
Oh, man. So we're just going to do a whole Game Fuel line based on the Metroid series.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, Doug Bowser, you're taking this down, sir.
He's still trying to pick what shoes he wants to wear. I don't know.
Well, we're going to pick what shoes we're going to wear for 2021 after this break. That's right. The annual predictions shall commence.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, this is fun. So enjoy this little song, and on the other side of it, we'll be back to look back before looking forward. Right after this.
Together we can show the world what we can do. You are next to me and I'm next to you. Pushing on through until the battle's won. No one's gonna give nothing to us. Into each other we put our trust.
Let us move forward into 2021, but before we can close the door on 2020, we have to look back at what we thought was meant to happen a year ago. Tally up some points, figure out how many sixths of a point Matt got on each of his predictions. And, let's see. So every year we do predictions about what we think is going to happen. And this segment has transformed in different ways throughout the years, but largely it's always relatively the same. We made 5 predictions last year each. Now a year later, let's look back at what they were. So, our friends Akko and Ben both made predictions. Akko last year said, new Banjo game, for real this time. Turns out, no Banjo game. Akko said a new Street Fighter is a launch title for both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I wish it were true, but it were not. Said that Valve would announce a cheaper VR headset, which did not happen, but would have been nice. And he said that PlayStation 5 would have full backwards compatibility from PlayStation 1 forward, which, man.
He got a fifth of that right.
Yeah. So in total, Aqua made 4 predictions with a total of 0 points for 2020. Ben said PlayStation 5 won't actually read old PlayStation games. Instead, PlayStation Now will be integrated to PlayStation 5 and act as PlayStation's solution for backwards compatibility. I'm going to give him the point on this one, because No PS1 games on there, but otherwise this is the backwards compatibility solution for PlayStation as it has been on PS4. So I think that's a point. And Ben's second and final prediction was that his copy of Shenmue 3 would not arrive until late April. I don't know when it showed up, but it was definitely a bit later than he anticipated from the Kickstarter. Should we give him the point or leave it at the single point for the first one?
He said specifically April.
He did say it won't arrive until April.
When did he get it? Did he get...
I don't know. I don't know. All right, we'll leave it at a point. He never confirmed when he got it. He couldn't find the confirmation of it, so I don't know. It's okay. Matt said that at the Game Awards, Hideo Kojima would cryptically tease his next game. Unless he did, and we really don't know about it because it's that cryptic. Nothing confirmed yet.
That Returnal thing, just remember that. I'm not gonna argue for any points, but just remember the Returnal thing.
This next one, you were like full on Nostradamus here. I'm going to read, I wrote down kind of basically what you said, which was, bad news gamers, Avengers will be getting delayed by one fiscal quarter to late summer or early fall. It will release to mediocre reviews, and we can verify with Metacritic for somewhere between a 60 to 70-ish score. You then went on to say that another springtime AAA game would release to mediocre reviews. You specifically named probably RE3 or Cyberpunk 2077, but you didn't make that as part of the hard bet. Just that's what you guessed it would be, is that either of those would be mediocre, which turns out both came out to mediocre reviews. But the big part here is that one, Avengers got delayed by a fiscal quarter, two, late summer, early fall. And Metacritic showed, you grabbed a screenshot of that the other day. What was it,
67, I think.
7, yeah. So boom, that's a point.
Pretty good.
Boom. Matt also said a new Twisted Metal game is a launch window title for PlayStation 5 with an announcement for a Horizon sequel happening at the same time the Twisted Metal game was announced. Half point for the Horizon sequel. Sad to say no Twisted Metal. But Mark should be happy because that means Hammerhead is still buried somewhere.
I'm happy.
Matt said Nintendo Switch firmware update brings themes, more online features, and new UI, totally overhauled UI. The new firmware would release immediately before the release of the Switch XL, and a new game in the F-Zero franchise will be announced to launch alongside with Switch XL. It turns out Matt did not see Mark's background last year. What says, rest in peace, F-Zero, 1990 to 2004.
No, Mark's background last year was just the wall of amiibos.
Yeah, sadly, we did get an addition to the UI this year with that little Nintendo Switch Online icon, but it's still generally the same. And finally, this one was one of my favorite ones. Sorry, I don't mean this in like a mean-spirited way, but just knowing how 2020 turned out, hearing this one again was like, oh boy, we had no idea. But Matt said, on stage this year at E3, Phil Spencer will announce Xbox Live Gold is not needed for online play. It is a membership for discounts and free monthly games, bundled automatically if you're a Game Pass member. And your argument was solid because you don't need Xbox Live Gold to play stuff on PC. So why do you on Xbox? But something still got to shake out from that. Just nothing yet. So that was 1.5 points for Matt, making you, I believe, the current leader, unless we figure out in the next little bit that Ben's copy of Shenmue 3 arrived in April. Mark's 5 Started off with the name F-Zero is not mentioned by Nintendo at any Nintendo Direct or event. Essentially, you were saying there would be no new F-Zero game, but you were pushing it a little bit further that there'd be no official kind of...
Just like no acknowledgement.
No acknowledgement of it. And there wasn't. So, point for Mark. Mark said that in Resident Evil 3 Remake, a sandwich will reveal itself in Jill's apartment, and as a bonus point to yourself, you said that an achievement or a trophy would make a nod to the sandwich. Missed opportunity, I'd say, Capcom.
Yeah.
However, no point. Mark said the blue point would not reveal a Metal Gear Solid remake and not reveal a Twisted Metal remake because who would waste their time on Hammerhead? Instead, blue point would reveal Silent Hill.
So close.
I know. And I loved the way that you set this one up because it was just all by quoting Steve Winwood.
That was a good time.
It was a good time. Jury's out on Silent Hill. 0 points. This is where I think Mark and I probably were a year ahead of time, and I wonder how much of the nature of 2020 affected these two predictions that you and I made. But yours was Breath of the Wild sequel would be given a title. The title would be announced, and a holiday 2020 release date would be announced with a later delay to 2021. But in its place, the Hero of Time collection would release with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, the 3DS versions brought to Nintendo Switch. Did you forget about Majora's Mask?
Oh man, that threw me off.
It threw me off too when I was going back through it. Here's the thing. We will never know unless for some reason they come out and say, but I really believe Breath of the Wild was scheduled for this fall, got pushed, and in its wake, we got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Hyrule Warriors could have been, I don't know, earlier this year. It could have been next year. It could have been whatever. But the fact that it came out this fall seems suspect. Obviously, it's 0 points. But I feel like you were you're right skirting around. I think behind the scenes, that sequel was meant to be announced. Shown off in full.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you screamed the words Sonic Adventure 3.
I was just hoping somebody out there would hear me.
I know. I think they did, but I think, again, 2020 got in the way. That brings Mark to a total of 1 point. I said, and I should have stopped here, I said a new Mario Kart on Nintendo Switch. If I just stopped. Because I doubled down on it being basically Super Smash Kart or Nintendo Kart, whatever Mark actually called it Super Kart Brothers? Super Mario Kart Brothers, I think. I like that title.
I'm sure I said something like that.
It was good. It was a good title. But I basically said it would be the next evolution of what Mario Kart 8 was, but it would include more Nintendo characters this time around. Which we got Mario Kart Home Circuit live, but not the same. I said that Capcom would announce a new IP using the RE engine, pulling ideas from Deep Down, that their tech demo at the beginning of the PS4. We've not heard from Capcom's new IP department. We've not heard from Deep Down at all, so nothing there. This next one hurt to go back to and hear and then realize that it never happened, but I said that a new 3D Castlevania action title with Soul's influence on combat, weapon upgrades, and the whole game would take place inside of a castle. That did not happen, sadly. I said that Shuhei Yoshida presents Tokyo Jungle 2 and other long-lost sequels. I thought that we'd get more, return back to some of those older, fun, quirky PlayStation titles. Nothing yet. 0 points. And finally, the one that I think goes in hand with, with honestly both of your Nintendo predictions. Like Matt's Switch XL, Mark's Breath of the Wild stuff. I said 2020 is the year of Samus. The tagline, "You will believe a woman can roll." We would get a lot of Metroid. We would get the Metroid Prime trilogy on Switch. We would get Metroid 5, some sort of sequel to Fusion or a new 2D game, generally speaking. Maybe not a direct sequel, but a new 2D game. I said that we'd get a Samus cameo in another game. And Metroid Prime 4's first look. Which, I think all of that's happening this year now. But did not happen 2020, 0 points.
Dude, remember when Fusion and Prime were both released the same year?
Yep. I do.
What a time.
I do.
Remember when Joe got excited at a goddamn logo for 2 years?
Dude, everyone did, though.
I didn't.
Well, okay. I mean, most people. If you go on YouTube and just find reaction videos to that.
That's screaming. After years of silence. And that silence only to be broken by Federation Force, which I hovered over the buy button this week and I was like, no, I'm not.
If you jump, I jump.
No.
I know, but I didn't want to jump there just yet.
God, you guys already played Sonic together. Please stop.
Well, no, it's kind of like you have to see which one,
Yeah. One of these will click.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't played Federation Force. At least I can say I played Forces. I didn't have to jump in with you.
Yeah, Forces is...
Hey, there's still Triforce Heroes. Just,
I know,
I own that one,
too. I thought about that one, too.
I'm going to stick with
Well, it is
Assassin's
time
Creed.
that we hit our 2020 predictions. As we're recording, no predictions from Ben or Akko this year. However, the three of us have prepared. Matt, you won, so you get to pick the order in which we do these.
Oh, I don't care. All right. I have my Discord sandwich is Mark at the top, you in the middle, and me at the bottom. Let's go top down. So
All right.
Mark, Joe, me.
all right.
Hit it.
If Resident Evil 8 gets delayed, it'll only be a maximum of 2 times.
Okay.
I feel like that game is mostly done. I feel confident in that. I think they're just trying to do polishing, and maybe it started on previous gen. Maybe they're trying to, work it up for next gen. And so far, nothing seems, if I'm to sound like a frame snob, nothing seems smooth 60 yet. And I think that's usually the last thing I feel like they might work on after everything. But I feel if they delay it, it's probably for stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
Cyberpunk went gold on PS4, and it runs at a cool 15 frames on Xbox One base. So, frames come last.
Yeah.
My number one. This year, 2021, is home to many an anniversary. Of course, Castlevania, Metroid, The Legend of Zelda. It's also the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong. And I think this year on Nintendo Switch, online, we will get Donkey Kong 40.
Oh.
I think they're going to go back to the well with the Mario Brothers or Mario 35, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to get a Donkey Kong 40. I don't know that it'll be exactly, dropping junk on each other's stages, but there will be an online Donkey Kong this year on Nintendo Switch.
I can see that. It's kind of like King of Kong's on a new level now. It's
Yeah.
I like that. I'd rather just them port that Game Boy game. That Game Boy game's awesome.
Yeah, do that too. But I have that somewhere.
I have it somewhere. It's at my parents' house, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Donkey Kong 40. There it is. There's your number one.
All right. Konami makes a game again. It's called Metal Gear Solid 6. I will be pissed. It won't come in 2021. That is the main prediction. A bonus half point, taking the Mark playbook here. If the subtitle is called Liberation, as a little metaphor for Hideo Kojima leaving Konami. Liberation. Metal Gear Solid 6, Liberation.
You don't think Kojima's coming back for it?
No. I don't think so.
Right.
I still think that's a touchy. They might be on better terms now. I still think that's a raw wound still.
Yeah.
You want to add another bonus point to that? A half point to see
Okay.
to see who would play Snake?
I mean, that's a 50-50. I'm not going to put a bonus half point on it, but off the record, I feel like they got to give it to David Hayter. Or who's playing him in the movie? I forgot. Maybe they'll have him. What's his face?
Oh yeah, isn't it Oscar Isaac?
Yeah, Oscar Isaac, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe.
I forgot about that movie. That makes your prediction that much more realer. Interesting. Mark, number 2?
No Metroid Prime 4 news.
Well, I know what I got to talk about next.
I don't like you.
Hey,
I didn't know which one to go with next, but I know what direction I need to go in now.
I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm just saying that's what I predict. So,
Fair. Well, I am looking for a reason to get excited for the PlayStation 5, and I think none other than San Diego Studios' Mod Nation Racers returning to the fold would get me and the world excited. So I think Mod Nation Racers on PlayStation 5, I think the biggest problem with Mod Nation Racers was the load times, and now you don't have to worry about that because Mark Cerny gave you a fast SSD.
As fast as sound.
Say it again?
As fast
yeah,
as sound.
exactly. You can hear it. And I think that I think PlayStation has done so much to step into these like serious single player, whatever cinematic experiences, and some of that charm of the Mod Nation of the like there is Little Big Planet, but it's also Little Big Planet's like homogenized at this point, feels soulless in a way that I think that they need something a little bit more whatever, and I think Mod Nation is a good way to bridge that gap. I think there's a lot of potential there with Mod Nation Racers. It's a good kart racer. The customization's really cool and snappy, and I think that you could do some interesting things with online play and that like the world's ready for a new Mod Nation Racers.
I don't know if it's going to come from Sony San Diego because they have a lot on their hands with getting that baseball game to all the different platforms now. But
somebody will do it.
I don't know who the team was behind Sackboy, the Adventure, the launch title for PS5, but I feel like that would be a good team. Maybe give them some of that work. I forget the name of the team. Yeah. But yeah, now that they're done with that, and that was probably, with that being a launch title, that was probably cooked in the oven and ready to go for at least a month or two so they could start on the next project.
Mod Nation Racers, bring it.
I wouldn't be mad about that. All right. Yeah, so Metroid Prime 4 news does happen. It is re-revealed for a 2022 release date. I am saddened to see it. It doesn't have the hefty and robust multiplayer systems I want. It's okay, though. Splatoon 3 is announced, and you can play with friends.
I think I didn't put those down on paper, but that is exactly how I anticipated this year to go with Metroid-related stuff. Metroid Prime 4, specifically, I should say. Yeah, I think that's good. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is going to have multiplayer.
No, not that I went back to the main... what's their name? What's the studio?
Retro?
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't need it. I think it's cool. I think the idea of making that of chasing the Halo killer is an interesting idea, but Halo's having a tough enough time being a Halo killer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we're just going to ink people again.
Yeah.
With friends.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. You think Splatoon 3 is out this year or just announced?
It's foggy. I don't know the year
okay.
or whatever. It's foggy, but I know I see among the fogginess Splatoon 3 logo.
All right, yes. Mark, number 3.
Mushroom Warriors.
Is this a Mario fucking...
I'm down with that.
Dude, is it Ubisoft doing it?
No, it's still Koei Tecmo, but like, they did Fire Emblem, they did Hyrule twice.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because, we've had Ubisoft do that Star Fox stuff with that one game, and we had Mario and Rabbids. We haven't had a Mario thing from Ubisoft again since then. And I think they both did okay. I know Mario and Rabbids did good, I think.
Starlink didn't.
Oh, well, I mean, that you set it up for failure. When you were talking about toys and shit, that guy had a shit-eating grin on stage, and we're like, why are you so happy? And then he came out with Star Fox. That was the only thing that was,
Yeah. That game was fine.
It was the toys thing, though. I think that probably blew up in their face.
Yeah, that probably hurt. But the game was, man, 3D fireballs and Peach with the parasol, Luigi with the vacuum.
Just armies of Koopas and Goombas are just beating the shit out of.
While Luigi running around with a tennis racket, I'd be down with that.
Yes. Very good. I like that a lot. Almost as much as I like Sega, continuing to celebrate its heritage, announces this year the Dreamcast Mini. That's right, hitting store shelves near you, the Dreamcast Mini. But also, because I needed to have one sort of multi-tiered prediction here to make Matt happy, I also think that Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast games will begin to appear on the Nintendo Switch. I kind of think that this is going to be broader. I think that Sega's going to start pulling a lot of its old catalog into as many platforms as possible. Steam, whatever, across the board. But I think that primarily, I think we'll see a lot of Nintendo Switch, Saturn, and Dreamcast games brought over. It's time.
Question?
Yes?
Because there's some of these on Steam, right?
Yeah, like, there's a lot of...
But they're not, like,
Dreamcast
exact ports because of, like, music and, like, licensing and stuff like that. So will it be, like, those, like, Steam or PC port versions just to other consoles, or...
I would allow either or in this case.
I mean, in a perfect world, if the crystal ball is crystal clear, this is M2 doing the work.
Okay.
And they're killing it as per usual. So it's everything you want it to be. If there are licensing hiccups, like you think of Crazy Taxi, maybe that is one where like that can't happen, just licensing wise. But who knows?
Maybe, yeah.
But also, if they were to do that, I would think that the Steam version would get fixed. If they were able to get the licenses up to date.
I mean, I fixed it.
So yeah, Dreamcast Minis Part 1, Part 2, Saturn and Dreamcast games on the Nintendo Switch. Matt, number 3.
All right. I got a prediction, but then with a little bit of personal flair at the end here. Elden Ring comes out in the fall. I will own the Platinum Trophy in it by 2022. I will also own the Platinum Trophies in the Demon Souls remake and finally Dark Souls by 2022. I think about those games a whole lot. I've been itching to go back to Demon Souls. I'm just trying to figure out when to do it. And that Dark Souls Platinum, the hardest part was done and over. I just needed to grind some shit. Yeah, I gotta polish that up. But yeah, I want to get those 2 Platinums before Elden Ring comes out.
Oh, yeah, Phil Spencer's on the line. He just bought From Software, and that game's an Xbox exclusive. How do you get the Platinum on it?
I guess 100% achievements. Whatever the comparison is. That'll be my first 100%. I thought about going there for Yakuza 100%, but I was like, there's no Platinum Trophy, so...
Yeah, it does make it less exciting that way. Yeah. Mark, 4.
But yes, Elden Ring in the fall.
I like that.
This will probably be my most detailed one, but okay. So Halo Infinite. it won't experience any more major delays. I think, if anything, if they like give like a release date, right? If they like pick a date, maybe there's like, maybe like a day later or a week later, it might get pushed back, something like that, right? So, whatever. Not another fiscal quarter, year, whatever. Yeah, nothing too major. It will still be this year. But the multiplayer will release first, since that is free to play. And maybe it's through a beta. Maybe it's through the Master Chief Collection. I don't know. I don't know how they'll set it up, but I feel like that will come first in some shape or form.
Energy drinks.
Right. Then the campaign will follow. And then as an apology, you get day one campaign bonuses.
Oh, I thought you were going to name the bonuses.
Oh, it's probably just going to be just dumb, like, experience boosts or a special, like, skin for, like...
Well, this is like an open world Far Cry thing. You might like have like a high damage battle rifle that you can equip from the start or something like that.
Yeah, it's something nostalgic, I'm sure.
I think I know how you get into it. You're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member to get into the free multiplayer before it actually launches.
Yeah.
You have to download all the Crackdowns.
Yeah.
both Crackdown 3 and Crackdown
That's
3
not on
multiplayer.
I forgot about Halo Infinite.
I thought you were going to say you forgot about Crackdown 3.
And that too. I'm looking forward to Halo. Much like I'm looking forward to the NES, Nintendo Switch Online, and SNES, Nintendo Switch Online libraries getting a little bit more Earthboundy this year. First, we will see Earthbound Beginnings, as they call it, on the NES collection, followed by Earthbound on the SNES collection, followed by a 15th anniversary, first time release in the West, Mother 3 Anniversary Collection. Not unlike the Fire Emblem 30th that we just got in December. This will be a limited time 6-month only release.
March 2021.
Yeah, you have to redeem it. You have to buy it by then. They'll do a physical copy or a physical edition that will sell out in minutes, and none of us will ever get it. I thought about putting this down, on paper, but I really think that they will work with Fangamer to distribute some sort of something or other, just because Fangamer was so integral. And yeah, I mean, those things are synonymous. So anyway, the raw prediction is Earthbound Beginnings on that NES collection, Earthbound on the SNES collection, and then a Mother 3 15th anniversary release in the West, finally. Y'all gonna play it?
Yeah,
I mean,
I still have yet to really dive in with any of them.
I think you could do Mother 3 without doing Mother 2, but it's definitely better if you have. Matt, number 4.
Final Fantasy 16, starring Chris Redfield. I mean, Clive Rossfield. Comes out this year, but not before a trailer for 7 Remake Part 2.
Ooh. Not before. Okay, so we see 7 Remake Part 2 before 16 releases.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see 16 content before 7 trailer?
I don't know. If 16 gets released, I definitely think it's going to be a holiday, much like 15 was. So I think you can wait to show that stuff September. I think we're going to get that 7 remake trailer kind of around the time, April, around the time that 7 launched last year.
I dig it.
Something.
I'm excited for 16.
I'm not saying full-on gameplay dive or whatever, but something to show these are the areas you're going to be going to in Part 2.
Yeah. No, I like that. I'm excited for 16. That's one of the things that I'm
oddly excited for 16.
Yeah, it's
good.
one of the things I'm ready for a PS5 for. All right, this is the sad part, but our final round of 2021 predictions. Mark.
Digimon Survive finally releases. Bonus point if it's in December.
Ooh.
I mean, we can do half point, whatever. But
Yeah. Why December?
I don't know. It just feels like a game that if it does come out this year, it's going to be like super last minute. I don't know why I'm feeling that.
I tried to buy a Digimon the other day. I was in a Target, saw they had the Tamagotchi, almost bought the Tamagotchi and said, wait a sec, they got them Digimon too. Not at Target, only at Best Buy.
I was in Target the other day, and I walked by the card section, and there was strangely a whole empty section, as if they were going to stock something.
Dun, dun, dun. Digimon, y'all. 2021 is the year of Digimon. It's also the year that we get a brand new Ring Fit Adventure expansion. A brand new adventure. You get new moves, new workout styles you can add into your repertoire. You also get costumes for other Nintendo properties. Nintendo Switch Online members will be able to dress up as Zero Suit Samus or Link on their Ring Fit Adventure expansion. I think this will be a separate standalone sold expansion for people who already have the ring. I think they'll also start selling the ring as a standalone item. You can digitally buy the either campaign.
It's going to be a Labo ring. You have to make it.
Can you imagine pressing in cardboard? Oh my god, it's the easiest workout.
Hey, there it is. Well, given the fact that recycling pickup, what happens on Fridays, has not happened for 2 weeks now here, got plenty of cardboard to fold up into some exercise rings. So much recycling to go out. That's my number 5, Matt.
I like that one.
All right, this is my loaded one.
Yeah.
There's a lot here. The Switch Advance.
Yes.
Still sticking with that name.
I love that name.
Comes out in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It is a home console only.
Mm-hmm.
Outputs in 4K.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild 2 releases with it.
In the summer.
In the summer. I'm gonna add a little personal touch to this. Breath of the Wild 2 is my game of the year.
What?
Breath of the Wild, not my favorite game in this world, but its problems are correctable.
Huh. Wild. All right, I'm in. You just made 2021 that much cooler, man. I'm very excited for a new Switch.
Yeah, like I have a strong feeling that like this. I mean, obviously, isn't any of my predictions, but I didn't know how to word it, so I just left it out. But I feel like a lot of whatever big titles Nintendo is working on, they're saving for this new Switch. So like the Switch we have now, we're gonna get titles, but nothing like super extravagant. I feel like it's nothing gonna be like super amazing or like.
I think everything will still play on this existing Switch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think we're stepping into like a PS4 Pro situation or Xbox Series
where
X
it's
situation.
like you get the better performance and whatever like features with the home console.
Nah, the 4K output stuff is big alone. Like even when Breath of the Wild was first releasing, you had people who were running that Wii U emulator and showing off videos of it at 4K, and it was like, oh my gosh, like this is insane how good it could look.
Yeah,
if on the right.
I really like the idea of like in the same family, but you have the portable only, the in between, and then the powerful home console. I think that's a really smart move. You probably can easily scale all those games to the correct way, and making sure everyone who has a Switch is still playing Switch games, and there's no one can't play.
They're still
a Switch
happy
game.
with their purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who ran out in 2020 to buy one for Animal Crossing is not like heartbroken or mad that they own one now and can't do XYZ. They're still validated.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I think about that a bunch. Like I'll buy it, obviously, but I'm like, do I want one that can't be undocked? Like, I kind of, just because I'd want them to put the power into it, but also the GGLSA stuff. Like, I played that this week, and I played a lot of that in bed, in and out. But we also have a Switch Lite in the house, so I could use that. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
Any cutting room floor stuff? Because I got a few.
Oh, I got a whole heckin' list. Mark, you got anything on the cutting room floor?
I feel like it's just mostly Nintendo related because I don't know. Even though like they're the hardest to predict, I feel
they're more fun to predict that way because of that. Well, Matt, you want to volley these?
Yeah, sure.
How many you got? I got 8.
Wow. I do not have 8.
4.5. I have. I'll just start with the half one. I was trying to figure out something to bash Mass Effect with, and I couldn't figure out a good way, and it only led me to saying it's a soft reboot.
All right, yeah.
Much like Modern Warfare was.
Will it play worse or better than Anthem?
I never played Anthem. I never played Anthem, so I can't comment on
when Anthem gets properly fixed.
Like Cyberpunk will.
Okay, better question. Will it play?
So you talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 tease. I said instead Square Enix is going to lean into the Parasite Eve remake tease this year. That's my other alt.
No, if you have 8, just you go 2 and I'll go 1.
You don't have any, Mark? Any loose ones?
I mean,
I didn't want to cut you short if you did. That's all.
Spitball anything off the top of your head?
Go. I'm still holding out for Gino being a Smash character. I feel like whatever they did this time around was just a what do you call it? Not a red herring. Is it red herring?
Yeah, red herring. Yeah.
Where they just want you to think that the Mii costume just means you're not getting them. But
I'm glad you're staying strong with that because I hopped off the Crash Bandicoot wagon last year.
So I could see it like continuing the cutscene of Cloud and Sephiroth fighting.
Yeah.
And Gino comes in with that.
I need to play that.
I said we would get a Mario sports title.
Give me Strikers. I'm ready for soccer.
I almost bought Strikers the other day because it's on Virtual Console and Wii U, and I was looking through all the Wii games on there, and I was real close to grabbing it, but I'm sticking with Sin and Punishment 2. What else you got?
I straight up said that Halo Infinite gets delayed out of 2021.
They can't.
But they couldn't not release it with a console that has all the marketing material on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still have the box. I will take pictures of the box with all the Master Chief stuff all over it.
Now they brought back some OG Halo members. Yeah. I feel a little more confident about its abilities.
Speaking of Microsoft, Microsoft announces Killer Instinct, Doomslayer, and Master Chief are playable.
Doomslayer.
Microsoft's Doomslayer.
Oh, yeah.
And I also said that Microsoft would announce Quake at QuakeCon.
Well, speaking about cons, I straight up said that E3 doesn't happen again in 2021.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. Persona 1 and 2 released on Switch. There was that cool Famitsu article that interviewed a bunch of Japanese developers and asked them kind of what their themes are for the year, and everyone from... So there's the people at Atlas who are making... it's the Persona 5 team, I think, and they're making one called like Project Fantasy. So I think they might be doing like a Shin Megami Fantasy style game. Is the idea. We're also going to see SMT5 this year. But they kept talking about how there's going to be a Persona 20th anniversary something. So I think Persona 1 and 2 on Switch is an easy get. I also think that after spending the last year inside with family members, Nintendo sees the value in and revives the Wii Sports title for Nintendo Switch.
It's not bad.
Capitalize on that everybody having Switches now. I think that's all my cutting room. Oh, and I'll just throw this one out. I said ARMS 2.
I got two more.
Yeah.
I said Cyberpunk, or I guess CD Projekt Red, straight up ends up scrapping the PS4 and Xbox One editions of Cyberpunk after they realize they can't get it to work right.
Oof.
And then the last one, and this is my darkest one, but I think it's so true. Even me, Mr. Negative, couldn't even bring me to say this. The closest we get to Twisted Metal are some skins in Destruction Derby as a DLC pack alongside its free release on Plus.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong. Unless Fortnite adds cars.
I mean,
there are cars, but yeah, I think I know what you mean, Joe. Like a car royale or something.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about this one. This would have been a big get. Xbox backwards compatibility extends to all disc-based games.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm sorry. When I say that, I mean like all Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Basically, no, I don't mean like pop in a Dreamcast game and you're partying. I mean like...
No, yeah.
They're going to extend the emulator so that it's not just like a house around a single title, but, you know, there's an onboard emulator that you can just pop in an original Xbox disc and it'll do the work.
I wonder, speaking about like emulation or something, I mean, these are essentially PCs, right? I wonder how difficult it would be to like anything that would run on Windows 10, any disc-based game for Windows 10, you can pop into your Xbox, and as long as you have mouse and keyboard, it will work.
Yeah, I ain't no engineer, but it's probably not that far-fetched. I'm not gonna say it's not without work, but I bet it could happen. I know that RetroArch you can just put on an Xbox I think you have to have your Xbox One in dev mode, but anyone can put their Xbox One in dev mode, and then you can install RetroArch, so theoretically that could happen. Yeah.
That's all I had.
I feel good about this year. I think that last year was super quiet and small in so many ways with video games that I think that this year we'll see a lot of that stuff where people were excited. There were a lot of things, like in that the Famitsu article was really revealing where like 2020 was meant to be an anniversary celebration for Ace Combat and they just couldn't do it. There was no place or time or whatever. So they're like, we look forward to doing that this year instead. I think we're going to have a lot of we look forward to doing that this year instead.
I wonder, like, you know, Jeff Keighley did this whole Summer of Games thing because there was, like, no E3 and no traditional cons. But now that people have shifted to digital, like, platforms and stuff, like, how much of that do we see? Is it... I feel like Jeff Keighley has something every other week to announce on top of, like, Gamescom and all this other... It felt like a shotgun... Not like a shotgun blast, but, like, just repeated shotgun blasts because, like, it kind of got hard to keep up with. I wonder... if that same approach stays. Like, I mean, even the fandom thing for DC had two games that will probably have been on an E3 stage somewhere, right?
For sure, yeah.
So,
well, the rumor was that WB was going to have its own stage show.
Right,
year,
yeah, that's what
last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Yeah, speaking of which, you think Injustice 3 happens this year?
I don't know if it releases, but I think you get an announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they might break the cycle for releases with MK11 getting all that extra stuff. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, games just take longer now.
Yeah, which is good because honestly, like, I like Injustice 2 a whole lot, but Mortal Kombat 11 I kind of fell off of, and I think it's like I want to see what else NetherRealm can do. I do want Injustice 3, but I want it to be something a bit different.
Still waiting for those atomic purple Joy-Cons. Still waiting for that to happen. I forgot what year I...
You know what? That might be a fun thing to do. Maybe over the next couple of weeks, we'll look back at other predictions from other years and see what else we have. Speaking of 2020, at some point soon, our Game of the Year stuff will be recorded and released to the world. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back next week with a more traditional episode. And maybe, hopefully, some news. There's really been not a ton of news in the last week or so. 2 weeks, really. other than that, anything you guys are playing this week you're excited to jump into?
Curious, not excited. Assassin's Creed still. And it might finally be time for me to maybe think about playing Cyberpunk again now that Yakuza's done.
When's their first patch is this month, right?
I mean, I had it running fine. I think I had it like 40, 50 frames, something with a mix of medium, high, and low settings. So and I really didn't experience too many bugs, if any at all. I just remember the one mirror thing. So I feel fine just playing it. I don't need to wait for a patch. I just didn't play it because Yakuza stole my heart. That game is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Mark?
I never know off the top of my head. But I did recently get Warhammer 40k Space Marine finally.
Oh, nice.
Because I played a demo of that and loved the demo, and I've just never played the full thing. So I'll probably get that. I feel like that's a game I can do in a day or something.
One of the Humble Choice games this month was a Warhammer game. I can't remember which one. It wasn't Vermintide. Shit. Oh, and they also in Humble was PC building PC simulator or whatever that simulator is. So I might waste a night with that with a couple beers. I don't know.
Jesus. Persona 5 has been the quiet. You know what I mean? Like I've just been gunning forward with that one, but that one just keeps adding more character, more nuance. I'm finally leveling up different relationships in the game in a meaningful way, other than just the bars ticking up one by one. So I'm gonna go with that. I've been playing. I know Mark's Tombstone will object to this, but I have been playing some F-Zero. Maybe not in hopes that it will revive, but I never played that 64 one a ton, so I'm going through and trying to unlock all the racers now and doing that stuff and having a good time learning F-Zero properly.
That music's so good.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in statistics, and I feel like someone at Nintendo looks at those things. So if they can see that in 2020 somebody has a Wii U turned on just to play F-Zero, maybe I'm sending a signal. I don't. Maybe I'm just farting in the wind, but
F-Zero X has such a cool style to it.
It really does. It's a shame because the Wii U has that kind of the anti-seizure filter over it, so everything looks a bit darker than it actually is. That was one of the downfalls of Wii U Virtual Console, despite it having so many good games. But yeah, I'm having a good time playing through that. That music is just super good.
It was Chaos Bane as the Warhammer game on Humble Choice. Isn't that their Diablo-esque one?
That sounds, yeah, I think so.
Their dungeon crawler.
Is it still there?
Huh?
Is it still there?
It's for this month, January. It just popped. I just got the email. I think it was yesterday.
May or may not get that.
I also am playing through Sonic Adventure 2. Team Sonic Racing is re-downloaded on my Switch because I feel like I never gave that one a proper shake. I just kept looking at. You
did.
No, I kept saying this game is not Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed instead of saying what is this game? It's still frustrating in some ways. Some other challenges are, but I'm slowly enjoying that one and having fun with that one. But also, I just keep playing Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. So that's 2021. That's it. If you have predictions of your own out there and want to send them in to us, we'll read them on the air. podcast@thefreecheese.com. What do you think's going to happen? What are you excited about? What are you concerned about? What do you think the future holds for us? Other than that, you can follow everybody on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at SomeFreeCheese. Matt is at MattyIce131. Mark is at Aug_mental. podcast@thefreecheese.com. Until next time, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, listener, for listening. Happy 2021. Bye.